Here is an excellent grouping of Aterian points that are made out of Libyan Desert Glass, found in the Sahara Desert in Egypt in 2008 along the border of Libya. And Libyan Desert Glass is a tektite. It's meteoric glass formed by a meteoric impact or explosion. And it turned the sand into this beautiful kind of yellowish, greenish, transparent, translucent glass. In fact, King Tut's scarab beetle on his breastplate, dating to around 1500 BC, I believe, 3,500 years ago, is actually carved Libyan desert glass. The beautiful scarab beetle in the center of his breastplate, King Tut's breastplate. But this goes back over 12,000 years ago. In fact, way over that, Aterian points were made, Aterian tanged Middle Paleolithic Aterian points were made between 30,000 and 85,000 years ago, with one site having dated to as old as 145,000 years before present. So these may have been made for 100,000 years or more. And these are Aterian tang points. I have quite a few frames, a number of frames of these, but these are what they normally look like because they're made out of flint. They're made out of flint or chert. But rarely do you ever find them or see them made out of beautiful material like Libyan desert glass. In fact, not only are these very important archaeological specimens, but they're also the largest known Aterian points known to exist to date. The largest Aterian point on record up until now is 3.2 inches, and it's a basalt Aterian point. I have a number of them. They're not very pretty, but they're made out of basalt instead of chert or flint. The Libyan desert glass examples are really the jewels of the Aterian lithics, no doubt about it. And this is the largest Aterian knife blade known to exist. The former record keeper, record winner, was 3.2 inches long. This one is 4.5 inches long, and it's a beautiful tanged scraper. It probably was rounded here to make it more like that at one time, and it snapped and broke in usage right there. And so then they made a backed knife out of it here. This blade edge has all been what we call a backed knife. And then this blade edge has all been sharpened to a beautiful bifacially flaked blade edge. Just so cool of an artifact. So this is what we call a backed knife, and it would be and very ergonomic in the hand like this, and be held like this to be cutting meat maybe, cutting fish maybe, and then scraping as a scraper, and that's the blade edge. Isn't that cool? Now, this is an Aterian blade knife. It's been struck once here and struck once here, so it's been struck twice on that side. That's all weathering there, all that pitting and weathering. Look at all this weathering and pitting here on this side. And this was the face down side. This side mainly is the wind blasted side here that got glossy. And then this has all been flaked. This whole side, that's been flaked. That's been flaked. That's a flake right here. That's a flake right there. That's a flake here, right here. That's a flake. That's a flake. All that's been flaked. All that scalloping for the blade edge has been flaked. So this whole side has been flaked here. And you can even see signs of etching that have lasted all these years, because this was face down. So it's rougher and this is shinier. But just to show you, this could be 100,000 years old. It's certainly between 30 and 85,000 years old, no doubt. And it's an Aterian 4.5-inch record breaker. This is the new record breaker for the largest Aterian blade known to exist. 4.5 inches. Beats the old 3.2 inch by a long shot. And then even this one beats the record. This is just shy of 4 inches. This Aterian tanged point right down here is the base, the tang. And you can see all the etching and grooving that remains all these years. This is heavily windblown and heavily weathered here, big time. But yet the etching still remains on this, just unbelievable, for the hair of the mammoth and the hair of the faces. Because what we have is a baby mammoth with its trunk coming down off to the right and its massive hair tuft facing off to the right here now. And then when we hold it this way, gosh, we have a great mammoth with this, its trunk. So the tang becomes its trunk off to the left, which is quite often the case, where the tang will become the trunk of the mammoth, now facing off to the left. But look at all that etching from the hair of the faces and the hair of the mammoths there, all that grooving. That was all done in paleo times. Of course, we find that grooving and etching routinely on volcanic glass specimens from Indonesia, from Mount Shasta, from Arizona, from China. And we find this etching on obsidian, and we find it on rose quartz crystal and citrine crystal and meteorites and all agate, petrified wood, all kinds of stone were etched and grooved in Paleolithic times. Flake stone was etched and grooved in Paleolithic times to make these wonderful face and mammoth effigies, and until my discovery, this etching had been unobserved. No one had observed the etching or the grooving, the patterned etching and grooving on flake stone. And that's they did that to image, again, the hair of the mammoth and the hair of the faces. That's 3.9 inches. It's 3 7/8. So this has the old record of 3.2 inches beat by a long shot as well. What a beautiful, beautiful tanged point that is, and effigy, beautiful effigy. Then we also have this one, which is fairly large as well. This eye of the mammoth now, when we turn it to the left, that's the trunk of the mammoth, and that's the eye. It's all been worked and etched all around the eye there. For the hair of the eye, or eyelashes there, whatever, facing off to the left, we have that mammoth, and then a human face looking up from the back of the mammoth. This is the eye, the nose, and the mouth of a face now looking off to the right with a kind of a horned shaman look up there, with that tang being the shaman horn. And then when we hold it this way, now we have a double-tufted baby mammoth with this, the tuft, and the trunk over here now facing off to the right. What a great example of a double-tufted mammoth now facing off to the right. And that's an Aterian point that was used as a point and then whittled down to use as a scraper. This is also the eye of nose and mouth, eye, nose, and mouth of faces there, that inclusion there, they use that as well. And here as well. That's another one, and then we have this one here. Wow, that's another effigy there with the eye of the mammoth facing off to the right. That's a tanged Aterian point flaked on this side, mainly unifacial on this side. And that's the mammoth facing off to the right. They modified these at the end of their useful life expectancy. That is a winner there. That's just a beauty, though. This one here, is a spear point. And what a great Aterian spear point that is. And it's also a great effigy, because this is the eye, this little chip they took out, and the trunk of a mammoth now facing off to the left. That's a mammoth facing off to the left with that little chip, its eye right there, and that's its trunk. Just outrageous, and there's still signs of etching on this. And here's that mammoth now facing off to the right. Just a beautiful tanged spear point, Aterian spear point. Another tanged example right here. Wonderful tanged Aterian point. Another little one here as well that's also an effigy. That was made for an eye of human faces right there, and also of the mammoth facing right. And this little kind of leaf-shaped blade here. But these are the two world record holders right now of Aterian blades. They're the biggest, largest Aterian points, blades yet to be discovered, made out of beautiful, beautiful Libyan desert glass.